What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters Allstar video. And in today's video, we are going to be continuing our ongoing series, taking a look at each color element in the King of Fighters Allstar and ranking the top 5 characters for all of PVE. If you missed yesterday's video, we did cover the purple element in that video, so you can check it out. Link will be in the description below. And as you guys can see on screen, in today's video, we are going to be covering the blue element fighters. But before we get into all of that and more, if you guys are new here and you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into today's video. Now before we get into the top 5 here, I do want to go ahead and throw the same disclaimer in here as we did in yesterday's video. All of these characters are going to be ranked according to my own opinion, observations, and preferences. So for you guys out there who might have characters that you would throw into this top 5 that might differ from my own, you can let me know in the comments section down below which characters you enjoy and which characters you prefer, and we can go ahead and compare notes there. But as a veteran player who has played this game since day one and never missed a day of logging in, I do have most of these characters, and I have played with most of these characters for a fairly decent amount of time, so I do feel like I have a fairly good grasp of what is going on with each one of these kits. And with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into the number 5 pick. And coming in at the number 5 position and kicking off the list, we have MERLIN. So MERLIN is going to be a character that is extremely good for specific things, but she does have some limited use cases. However, at the end of the day, I feel like she does enough to set herself apart from the bottom end of the pack in order to warrant putting her at number 5. So MERLIN is going to be a blue balance type with a leadership ability that increases 7 Deadly Sins fighters' attack by 45%, and their power charge rate by 20%. This is a character that really is trying to do a couple of things and does them to a fairly decent extent. Really the biggest thing about her, it really shines, is going to be both of her finishers. They have a ton of multi-hits on them, so this is going to be a character that in general does really well for multi-hits as well as dots. Now she is a little bit random, and in fact that is quite literal. She's very random with the way she applies her dots. However, at the end of the day, this is a character that if you need a designated shield shredder and you're somebody that is on a budget and doesn't have a lot of these limited banner characters, this is going to be a character that you can take in against either one of the guild raid bosses and do a lot of damage on that shield, as long as you have somebody else to apply the dot or a striker that can apply the dot attached to her. And another thing about this character that makes her really good is because her finishers are really nice, she can also slot in against things such as Immortals really well. However, this character does have a few things that do hold her back. Again, she is going to have that random ball effect, which is something that does leave a little bit to be desired. She's also going to have that leadership ability where she really wants other 7 Deadly Sins characters, but at the end of the day, I do feel like she does enough to set herself apart to make her warrant the number 5 position. So kicking off the list, we have MERLIN. Coming in at the number 4 position, we have Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal. So Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal, ever since his initial release at the beginning of the year to usher in the new model of limited banner characters, has been a character that has fallen from grace in a fairly large way. However, he is still going to be an amazing dedicated DPS option in 2021. When you take a look at the overall kit, he is going to be a blue attack type with a leadership ability that increases the attack of all fighters by 45%. And he also boasts some really nice tags. So basically with Omega Rugal, his leadership ability does leave a lot to be desired, so he's likely going to find himself playing second fiddle to another character with a better leadership ability. But thanks to the fact that he does have those tags and that typing, he is going to slot in and find himself positioning himself next to a lot of really nice team comps without much of any issue. Now when it comes to the overall kit, that's really where this character starts to fall apart a little bit. The issue with Omega Rugal is the fact that really outside of being a dedicated DPS, which in the end he is still an amazing DPS option even in October of 2021 at this point, he is going to be a little bit limited in his overall use case scenarios, and there are so many characters that have released ever since he was initially dropped that are going to be able to output way better damage, that it really does leave him in a bit of a position where he doesn't really have much of a niche anymore. At the end of the day, the nicest thing about him is this core here that deals bleed damage equal to 80% of attack to the target upon landing a skill. This is where he is going to be doing a lot of his damage. However, being the fact that he doesn't apply any dot at all, that really does take away from his overall versatility in some of these other modes where you would like to see a specific dot application. But at the end of the day, this is still going to be an amazing top tier DPS option, even if he has been truncated by a lot of the recent releases over the course of the past 8-9 months. Coming in at the number 3 position, we have SS KULA Diamond. So SS KULA, we have recently done a spotlight video for, being that this is a fairly recently released character, so if you want to see our full thoughts on her, link will be in the description. But KULA is a blue defensive type with a leadership ability that increases the attack of all fighters by 45%, so the same leadership ability that we just spoke of when we took a look at Omega RUGAL, but really this character is more of a victim of circumstance than anything. SS KULA, as you guys may or may not know from that spotlight video, is a character that I find to be extremely powerful. She does really good damage. She has fantastic overall skill animations. Both of her finishers are wonderful. She has a lot of multi-hits on her kit. She's going to be the best overall dedicated chill character in the entire game, and that right there is actually what kind of sets her back a little bit. The fact of the matter is, even though this character does have pretty much everything you would look for, including that dome shield on her cores and the ability to decrease her own skill cooldowns every time she lands a skill on a chilled target, the issue at the end of the day is there just isn't enough in this game that calls for chillest dot in general. But if there ever is more modes added into the game that does call for chill, then this character is going to shoot up the rankings, because SS KULA is an amazing character. Her only issue is the fact that she's held back a little bit by the fact that we don't have a lot of content for her, but if it ever happens, she'll be the best pick you could go for. And coming in at the runner-up position, we have SS KASUMI. So SS KASUMI really isn't trying to do anything super fancy. This is a character that literally is only going to be wanting to do one thing and one thing only, and that is going to be doing a ton of damage. And as a character that can be a little bit challenging to build up, considering the fact that she was a on-banner SS fighter during a collaboration, this is a character that I envy anyone for if they have built her up to any considerable awakening level, because at the end of the day, this is going to be one of those characters that, while she is a bit of a luxury item, if you do have her, you are going to be welcomed with a ton of amazing damage output, especially in things such as Guild Raid, where this character is going to shine, particularly against Nightmare Geese, because she is going to deal that shock damage equal to 80% of her attack to the target every 0.5 seconds for 3 seconds upon landing an attack, with no cooldown, which is really what makes this character get up and go. This is going to be a character that I highly recommend, if you are not familiar with her, to check out some videos on YouTube of some of the damage output that this character is able to lay in when it comes to Guild Raid, and you will see why this character is so good. Now, Guild Raid isn't the only place where this character is going to be special. She's also going to be extremely good in PVAI, mobbing, bossing, and in general, this is a character that I am extremely high on, and I think definitely deserves to be in the number 2 position on this list. And finally, coming into the number 1 position, we have Boss Syndrome IGNIZ. So Boss Syndrome IGNIZ was the most obvious choice for number 1 for this list, and it was an easy decision to make. This character is absolutely insane. When it comes to his leadership ability, he has the best leadership ability in the game, in my opinion, because he increases all-star fighters' attack by 55% and decreases their HP by 5%. That is extremely versatile. He has fantastic tags, so he can slot into a bunch of different teams. He's going to have a 10-second shock application, which is just just unreal on that S1, which is just great for him because he is normally going to find himself being used and is very popular in Lunatic difficulty against Nightmare Geese, and this kit is just stacked for this character. When you really take a look at it though, it gets more insane when you take a look at his cores, because on his cores he is going to have the ability to decrease his active skill cooldowns by 1 second upon landing a basic, guard included. He's also going to have fear on his kit, and in general this is a character that is just extremely well rounded. I do feel like it was a pretty obvious decision to go this route for the #1 pick. A lot of these different lists we're going to find that there's a little bit more competition towards the top end, but when it comes to the blue element fighters, I don't think anyone would argue that at the end of the day IGNIZ is going to be the champion for that color, and in general this is a character that's just able to help out so many top tier characters with that leadership ability, being that it also applies to collaboration characters outside of your limited banner characters and even some other characters in isolated cases, that he had to be #1. And in general this is a character that if you have him, you already know how powerful he truly is, so #1 is easily Boss Syndrome IGNIZ. Well, there you have it, you guys, the top 5 PvE fighters in the King of Fighters All-Star for the blue element, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and talk about some honorable mentions here, because I don't feel like there's much more that we need to explain, because these were some pretty straightforward picks. The runner-up that I want to talk about first is of course going to be Delens. This is a character that has aged extremely well, considering the fact that he is still going to be one of the best darkness users in the entire game, with a fantastic leadership ability. He's on the outside looking in this video, but if you've built up your blue for your fame, check him out and revisit him because he has scaled phenomenally. The other runner-up here I'm going to throw in is going to be Angel of Paradise Marie Rose. This is another really solid blue option, but another character that was just outside of the top 5. So in the end, you guys, I find that this was a fairly easy and straightforward list to put together. However, everybody's always going to have different opinions, so I'm really curious to see what you guys think about the blue element pool in general. Let me know in the comments section down below if there's any characters that we didn't feature here that you would have featured and where you would rank them. But in the end, I feel pretty set in stone with these, but you guys can let me know your opinions in the comment section down below on your top 5 characters for the blue element. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Y'all take care. Peace.
Continue.